In this episode, we're talking about cold pitching. Should you do it? Should you not? All will be revealed. You're listening to JFDI with the Two Lauras, the weekly podcast for freelance social media managers. We're on a mission to help more social media freelancers to build profitable businesses that fund their lifestyle and work around their families. And every week, the two of us will share tips, advice, and inspiration about business, marketing, and social media to help you do that. In today's episode, we're discussing why we don't teach to cold pitch and how we've both got clients in all of our businesses without needing to slide into the DMs of people with a pitch. Okay, so in this episode, we're going to talk about our opinions on sending cold pitches, whether you should or shouldn't send cold pitches and what to do instead. Am I right, Laura Davis?
You are 100% right.
Where do you want to start? Should we start with why we don't like it?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're both like, I don't like it. This is like on traitors when they fight to speak first. I don't like it because I don't like anyone coming into my world. Whether it's knocking on the door of my house trying to get me to buy dishcloths, or whether it's someone sliding into my...
Such a random thing. Do people actually knock on your door to send you dishcloths? Why dishcloths?
And like ironing board covers and stuff.
What?
To be fair, that's like going back a few years. But anyway, we digress.
Okay.
And I don't like people sliding into my DMs. I hate the ones on emails. I hate, they piss me off the most. Like, if I want it, I'm an independent, capable woman. I can go to Google and I can find you. And you're tough tits if you don't show up on Google, or you're not there on the social media platform that I'm looking for, or you're not on LinkedIn because your keywords don't work. That's your tough tits. So don't spend the time cold pitching to me. Go sort out your SEO. That's it in a nutshell, my feeling.
Have you finished?
What are your feelings?
She's getting redder and redder in the face here. There's smoke coming out of her ears.
I've had to take my jumper off.
I don't think she likes cold pitches.
I was getting so hot.
No, I agree with you. From both perspectives, from a person being cold pitched, I hate it. Because like when someone's cold pitching you, 9 times out of 10, they've done no research. They don't know, most of the time, they don't even know our names.
Yeah.
But like they just get it so wrong. We get such bad pitches. We had one in our Instagram DMs the other day from somebody who was trying to tell us that our ads were rubbish and that they could help us with our ads. But if they actually knew anything about us, they'd know that A, we are ads managers, B, we teach people to be ads managers. And if they ever looked in our ad account, they would see that we're getting leads at like 30p and we're pretty happy with that. So we don't need that. But also, it's just like I think audacity is probably the wrong word, but the audacity of somebody sliding into my DMs. Like last week, my son was in hospital and I was putting this on Instagram that my son was in hospital and people had the audacity to slide into my DMs trying to pitch to me. And I'm like,
read the room.
Read the room, people. No. And so like 99% of the pitches that we get as business owners, we ignore them or we send them a really snarky reply. Like, if you want to know how to do ads, buy our ads course.
What did you say on that email the other day? I wish I should have opened it.
I can't remember.
It was just brilliant. You were like, I'm just going to stop you there. And what did you come back with?
And I put something like, and on that basis, I'm out, with like a mic drop gif or something. But yeah, so we either reply really snarky, we ignore, or 9 times out of 10 we will mark you as spam.
Yeah, I block.
So if you're coming into our inbox, if we mark you as spam, guess what? That's telling your email service provider that you send lots and lots of spam emails. So therefore, the more you send and the more people who mark you as spam, the less likely those pictures are even going to turn up into our inbox. But from...
I'm sorry, I was just... like, you touched on it there, and I think we should just go into it because it will bring me joy. The lack of research is quite outstanding. We get cold pitches saying, we'll help you find clients for your social media agency.
Grow your agency.
Hello. We do that. And like do you need help with your social media? That one pisses me off. And the ones where they talk about ads, and it's like, you don't know what's successful with my ads or not ads. So don't even try that. There's a lesson for everybody. Only I can see, or anyone in our ads manager account can see whether our ads are successful or not. And I find it really patronizing, and I find it rude. I just can't bear it. And I know there are lots of people out there teaching people to cold pitch, and that it's the way forward. Like the person you emailed back to with your "I'm out," and he came back with, obviously childlike behaviour, wanting to have the last word. And he was like, well, you're missing out if you're not doing cold pitching. It's like, no, I'm not, love. I'm all right. I have grown businesses where I have never had to cold pitch, and I have always been at capacity and never needed to do it. So that's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. It is not essential for any business to have to cold pitch. It's not essential to any business to have to do anything. But don't be led to believe that cold pitching is the right way to go about it, because it isn't necessarily the case. And if you don't like it, if you feel icky, you're going to see it. It's going to come across that way. It's going to make you look a bit like you're not confident. So just don't do it.
Yeah. And I think, I hate it for being on the receiving end of a cold pitch, but being somebody who would have to send a cold pitch, not only would I hate to do it, but I know that there's much better things I could spend my time on. But when we are social media managers, social media marketers, ads managers, we should be showing that we can do the job by using that marketing to get clients.
Yeah.
If we're showing that we're really great at cold pitches, guess what? People will hire us to do cold pitches. Wonderful. Do you want to do that for the rest of your life? Probably not. You probably want to be a social media manager. That's why you're listening to this podcast. So therefore, if your social media management skills and your social media marketing skills are brilliant, you're going to attract clients who want you to do that for them. So I think that's a much better use of your time. And business coaches out there telling you that you need to send 10 cold pitches a day and giving you the script of what to say, it's just like, well, A, are you doing that and is it actually working for you? But B, have you ever done it in our industry where we want to work with social media managers? Probably not, It's like you need to have done it to teach it.
And bear in mind, how many cold pitches do you get in your DMs? Like, we get a lot, daily, we get a lot. And we could take on freelancers, we could employ people. So, you could argue that that's fair game. But if you think of how that makes somebody feel, to us, we just do mass deletes now because there's so many. So if you're trying to pitch to a client, the chances are they're already getting a load of shit in their DMs and a load of shit in their inbox. So you're just going to be associated with that, and you'll just be part of that mass delete. You need to be different and stand out and be quality and good marketers. You shouldn't have to. If you're cold pitching, it shows that your social media marketing is not working. And that is not good enough for a social media marketer. Your social media marketer needs to be working for you. Cold pitching is always a bit of a last resort. And I think don't spend the time mass DMing people or emailing people. Spend the time marketing your own business.
There's much better things you can do.
Yeah.
Which is great news because we're going to talk to you about them.
Yeah. So where should we start?
Okay, so let's start with that you can have conversations with people in DMs and in emails without pitching to them. Because the best person to pitch to is a warm lead, right? But obviously you need to warm them up.
Yeah.
So start conversations.
Yeah, and that could be about anything, really. Find a common conversation point with a client or potential client or a business. And I've done this a lot. Weirdly, the conversations are normally around gin, or it could be kids, and that's why that's the benefit of when businesses show their personality and they show bits of their life outside of the work, because it is easier to then have those conversations. So if you're want to talk to a business that doesn't do that, then it is slightly harder to find more personable kind of attributes you can kind of talk about. But you can still just get into DMs with people by having conversations.
Yeah, like if someone's shared a story that they're at a conference or they're in a restaurant or whatever, you can just reply back going, oh my God, what was it like?
Yeah.
You know, start a conversation.
Yeah, 100%. And don't feel like you don't want to ever kind of lead in with oh, hey, how was that conference? Did you know that I could help you?
Yeah.
A pitch of any description should not be even on your radar. It's all about building relationships, and hopefully maybe they'll follow you back, and then they'll start to see your content, and it will grow, and the relationship will grow. It's like any relationship. You don't just jump into bed with somebody literally, and you don't jump into bed with a client just because you found them on Instagram. It doesn't work like that. You have to grow these relationships, and that is the right way to do it. And that is what social media is all about.
Yeah. It's just engaging with them, leaving nice comments on their posts, replying to their stories, sending them, if you see that they're struggling with something on their story, sending them saying that's going to help with it, not saying, oh, I can do that for you. It's like, here you go, this blog might help you. That's it. That's not a pitch, is it? But it's positioning you well. It's being helpful to them without being like that horrible spammy kind of person. And you don't have to then reply back, go, did you read it? Do you want to hire me? Do you want me to do it for you? Just let it settle. Be patient. And it is a slow game.
You can flatter people, make people feel good about themselves, because that's a nice thing to do, isn't it? You don't, whether it be you're flattering them on the service they provide, the product they create, just be complimentary to them. But like if they've got a product that you want, buy it. Like, be a customer.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm not saying you have to buy everything.
No, but also it's about being curious, isn't it? And asking questions. And I think the more open-minded you are and the more kind of curious you are about their business and about what they're doing just in general, the easier it is to build a relationship with somebody. So just, if they're making dinner or whatever on their stories. Oh, what is that? How do you make that? How long did you cook it? Just like stupid questions. Like Laura B, what kind of flavour gin was that? Do you know what I mean? It's just these silly questions that are just normal human interactions where there's no hidden agenda. There's no like, you're going to start this conversation and then suddenly you're going to go, bam, now will you hire me? It's like, no.
If you think about when you go to like networking events, which we admittedly are places that we frequent a lot.
No, thanks.
But when someone walks up to you and just pitches to you, it's never going to work. Whereas
what do? You get their business card and you throw it in the bin in front of their face.
That's a true story, not us. And yeah, you grab your cup of coffee, you have a chat with them, you ask them where they live, where they come from, about their business. You have a conversation, and sometimes it's very much work related, sometimes it's not. And that's okay. And yes, by the end of the networking event, by the end of that conversation, you could say, oh, look, I'd love to chat with you more. Do you want to follow me here? But you don't necessarily go, oh, I'm going now, end of networking, I'm going to do my pitch now. But you just make sure that you leave the door open to invite more conversation, to get to them, become friends.
Yeah, definitely.
Which sounds like softly, doesn't it? It sounds like there'll be people listening to this who teach like cold pitching. Well, they probably aren't listening to this, but they could be listening to this thinking, oh, God, no, why would you do that? When if you just send 100 DMs, one of them will say yes. And it's just like, ugh.
Yeah, no thanks. And people call this soft selling as well, which really annoys me because I don't think there's any such thing as that. You're not selling, full stop.
No.
You're not selling. But I think also this is kind of like Laura and I, we don't do cold pitching, but that doesn't mean we don't do pitching, right? We will still sell to warm leads and we will ask people to introduce us to other people. But the whole point is that you have to have a relationship with them. Because if somebody that we already know is, in our DMs, we have conversations with them, we know what they do, they know what we do, blah, blah, blah. And then they send us an email and they say, look, I've got a space for a new client. Do you happen to know anyone who needs somebody to manage their Instagram? What are we going to do? We're either going to think, oh, yeah, maybe let me introduce you to this person, or we're going to go, actually, we do, right? Because we already know that person. And you're not saying, can you hire me? Can you hire me? It's much softer, like easier question to answer. But you can't do that unless you have a relationship with somebody. You have to build that relationship.
Well, I think as well that it's about being in the forefront of somebody's mind, isn't it? So you're not going to suddenly start chatting with someone about what they've had for their dinner, and then a week later you maybe get onto more business-related chit-chat, normally slagging off a particular platform maybe normally seems to be how I get onto work-based chit-chat. That business isn't going to necessarily turn around and go, oh, okay, well, I'll hire you then. Because they might not be looking to hire someone. They might already use somebody else. And or they might be happy with how it is. But in 6 months' time, when they do need help, if you're still in their DMs, if you're chit-chatting, if you're like commenting on their stuff, having a bit of a laugh, whatever it is, you'll be the person that they remember. And that has happened to me multiple times, where people have come back to me saying, we're ready to hire someone, or they recommend me to other people. Oh, look, my friend needs a social media manager. I've recommended you, that kind of thing. Because you've just built up a personality and a relationship with people, and they like you and they can see your content and you're trustworthy and all of that stuff. And it all works, but it's not a quick win.
No. And you might be listening to this podcast thinking, well, that's great, but I need a client right now. How can I get a client right now when I don't have time to do all of that stuff to build up those relationships? Guarantee to you that you already have relationships with people who you can get to help you to find clients, whether it's your friends, whether it's your family, whether it's people who you're friends with on Facebook, people who you're already in DMs with on Instagram. There will be people who you already have these relationships with, who you can ask for their help, who you can ask them to introduce you to people, or you can ask them to make recommendations for who you should maybe start to, build these relationships with. And if you need help with this, by the way, go to thetwolauras.com/client. That's where you can get our client attraction kit. We teach you exactly how to do this without any cold pitching. And it all relates back to what we're talking about on this podcast. It's all about those warm relationships you've already got and how you can turn those into like a referral, really. Get those people to introduce you to people. Because when it's a warm pitch from somebody who you already know, or they already know of you because maybe they've been recommended to you, that's a whole different ballgame. That's a whole different, we're going to open up that email with a whole different mindset and read it in a very different way than if it's a cold pitch.
Yeah, 100%.
The other thing that you need to think about when you're doing all of this kind of relationship building is that people are naturally nosy. So if I'm having a conversation with someone, like on Instagram DMs, for example, or on LinkedIn, whatever, and I hope that I'm not the only person, I'm pretty sure I'm not, I will be nosy, I'll go click on, see what they're doing on their actual account.
All the time.
Yeah. So they will come back and do that to you, right? So they'll go and look at your content. So it won't just be the conversation that you're having directly with them. They'll be looking at your content. So if your content is great and it, positions you well, then guess what's going to happen? You're going to stay in their mind even longer. But you need to know how to create that great content. You need to be creating the content that makes you look like the expert on that platform, that even without you telling them that you offer social media management, they know that, right? You can be having a conversation in your DMs about what salad you're having for lunch, but they know that you offer social media management because that's what you talk about in your content, and they go and look at it. But your content needs to do that job. And if you're not confident with that, then make sure you dive into the toolkit, the Social Media Managers Toolkit. We'll put the link for that in the show notes. It's thetwolauras.com/toolkit. We've got a whole program in there. We call it Social Proof. And it's all about how you can create amazing content that will help you to stand out in the right way, help you to reach the right people, help you to grow your audience, and help you to sell to people on social without this cold pitching malarkey. Because we are so against this, it's unbelievable, in case you hadn't already gathered that from this podcast. But yeah, we'll put the link for that in the show notes.
That's it. We look forward to hearing how you get on. No one jump into our DMs with a cold pitch.
Don't you dare.
Or our email for that matter. Yeah, we'll be back same time next week. We'll see you then. Ta-ra!
Toodles!